Hello, everyone. My name is John Kieser, and very happy to be here. The graphic isn't quite exactly right there. It's supposed to show anxiety and tension, but you get the idea. So my presentation is really in three parts. And the first one is about the why. The second, I talk a little bit about mission and strategy. And the last part is you get to watch some videos because I offer some examples. Don't worry about taking notes because I've asked the Association to make sure that their copy of my handout is available to you in the form of a PDF. I ask you don't use it, and if you want, you can contact me, and we'll see if we can actually free up some of the content because some of it is copyrighted. So, onwards. So, the why, there's actually three parts to the question why, and this is something we always have to answer, not only for ourselves, but for institutions. It's also important to answer for funders and for people who you want to be your partner. And it's why is this important for your institution? Why is it important to your audience? And why is it important to you? You have to be invested in this to really, because it's a lot of work, media, and so you really have to be, courageous about this. So a little bit about me, and I wear two hats. You'll see there's two symbols on my slides, one for New World Symphony in Miami Beach, Florida. The other one is for IDAGIO, which is a audio and video streaming company in Berlin. So the New World Symphony, what you see there is photos of the New World Center in Miami Beach. It was designed by the architect Frank Gehry. It was the first digital building that he created, and it was all part of a program because digital has been core to what the New World Symphony does. We're equipped with multiple 4K cameras, a Pyramix sound mixing system. We have 22 kilometers of fiber cable because really digital was core to what we did. What we really are actually is an educational institution, and it's postgraduate, and we have about 87 fellows to study with us. It's for instrumentalists. And it's also a laboratory for experimenting how music is experienced, how it's taught, how it's captured, and how it's shared. Putting my Adagio hat on, this is the streaming service that's out of Berlin. It's one of the world's leading streaming services, actually. There used to be one other, Primephonic, but it was bought by Apple Music recently. But it offers video and also audio streaming. And we are in about 190 countries around the world. It is acclaimed because we actually conquered the whole area of metadata. If you try and search for something on Spotify or Apple Music, it's really difficult. But we took a lot of care, and you can actually find things that you're looking for. So, carrying right along, talking about the why. This is a chart that was taken from a study that was commissioned by the League of American Orchestras. It was done by a company called Wolf Brown. It was a survey across, and it's fairly recent from September. It shows how audiences in the US are getting more comfortable about coming back to the concert hall, but they're not there yet. And you can see that it's sort of like a wave shape, and every time there's a new variant that is discovered with the pandemic, people stay away from the concert halls. Study also goes on to list all the items that people would want to be comfortable in the concert hall. And it's a long list. It's masks, it's proof of vaccination or proof of test. It's cleaning protocols, all these things that are quite labor intensive. Now, this is about the US, but we also found, when I talked to my colleagues here in Europe, very similar situation as well. So I think we're talking about something that is essentially global. So engagement with digital programming, if you look at this chart, it's divided into three parts, but really what it says is that half of the audience is still engaging with media, and half is not. Still, that's actually a large number. So a number of factors allow people to, or compel people to engage with media. It is things like the safety and health we talked about a little earlier, convenience, the ability to choose your own programming, not to have it dictated to you, and those were all very significant factors. And also, what my learned colleague was saying, you could skip ahead and go to all the bits you want to listen to. But it was interesting to watch during the beginning of the pandemic. For a lot of audiences, engagement with media was slow, but then it picked up, and now, much to our surprise, it actually has, actually shouldn't say much to our surprise, it's still continuing to be strong. So one conclusion is that the people got used to consuming their cultural content in this way, and in some cases they actually preferred it, because they didn't have to worry about getting up, going to the concert hall, worrying about where to have dinner before or after, etc. I have no real critical proof, but we have a lot of anecdotal evidence. And people are willing to pay for media too. So this is another one, a chart from that. What it shows is that how people paid for it. And majority are paying for, well, over 50% are paying for their media, but you'll see the various categories. There's a one-time fee, which is most typical, but also donation. It really, people we found were very, very generous with their money when it came to supporting the arts online. Subscription and annual, those are more probably for people who are subscribers already, and we're given this as either as a way to replace the live concerts during the pandemic. But some interesting things, again, looking at, for example, the Cleveland Orchestra. They have now over 2,000 digital subscribers to their Adela platform. One of our clients at IDAGIO, Boston Baroque, shared with us that 34% of their total ticket revenue comes from digital. And their renewal rate on subscriptions is 99%. And this is an organization that performs on period instruments. The average paid tickets on their concerts in the Global Concert Hall in Adagio were equal to the lowest price ticket, about $20, in their hall, Jordan Hall. But they actually can sell far more tickets online than they could in Jordan Hall, only seats in Boston about maybe 1,000. So this is also about building community. And we talked this morning about community as well. And I think this is one of the major aspects that is very important. And there's a very good example later on, which I'll talk about that. So strategy. What goes into strategy? It's a mission. There's something we call goal properties. And I'll go into these a little bit more. Strategy, the type of media. And then partner buy-in, because you really do need partners. This is a lot of work. But there's one thing that is absolutely critical that you make sure that doesn't happen, which is no cat videos. So, and it's no se permiten videos de gatos, por favor. And okay, so I threw that in there as a little joke, but it's not really, because a lot of organizations, they say, oh, we do this in the real world, but we want to try this in online. That's very dangerous. You need to be true to who you are as an organization. It's essential. And in fact, let's just look at, for example, this is a mission statement. I'm sorry, there's a lot of words in there, but I'm just going to go through what the mission statement covers. It covers the why, the how, and the what. The why is that the New World Symphony wants to extend its reach globally. How? With a systematic, coordinated approach to the distribution of and what media, but also we tied it to touring and a few other aspects as well of some of our productions that also are exported from there. And the important thing, and this is the last bit of it, is that it aligns with the strategic plan of the organization, which has 3 pillars: sustainability, visibility, and differentiation. So, goal properties. Again, I'm sorry there's so many words on these slides, but I said you'll get them after the conference. There's sort of the various elements, but why are you doing this? And that's this why question again. So one reason may be to bring the value to the art form and to preserve a legacy, because the concert is an ephemeral experience. You hear it, then you have it in your memory, but media tends to stick around. Sometimes, unfortunately, it tends to stick around, but it's still, there it is. Broaden the understanding. Education is something that our organizations all do, but think about how you want to do that online as well. And again, in the last presentation that talked about bringing people sort of behind the scenes. Heighten your brand and garner publicity. Attract funding, grants, because a lot of funders now will not fund what we call the status quo. They're looking for something new, something original, something different, or looking to the future. Build and create a platform for partnerships. If you have something already going, it's easier to find a partner. And then there's this last one, again, about building community. So I sort of put media into 3 buckets. And the first one is performance and concert relays. There's any number of ways to distribute this content, but it's actually kind of saturated now, especially with the pandemic. So you have to think about how yours will be different, or why somebody would want to watch yours over, for example, the Berlin Digital Concert Hall. There's promotional, the casuals, and that is also extremely important. Because that also helps you build community. It promotes you, it's your organization and your values. You can really communicate your values clearly in social media. And again, this morning we heard about the importance of that from Pilar, about how donors will focus in on values. And the last part is education. A lot of people, again, a lot of organizations forget about the importance of education. That's who we are naturally as teachers. And then the partnership, I just wanted to sort of finish the slide on that. There's various production partners, distribution partners, and promotion partners. And so I would say, for example, we were doing a series based on the viola. We decided to focus on underrepresented instruments at New World. So we had actually a masterclass by Kim Kashkashian. We didn't know how that was going to happen or how we were going to publish it. And then we went with the violin channel. Anybody familiar with the violin channel here? So they came on board with us, and we had, for the live stream of the masterclass, 2,275 viewers live. And we thought, because maybe they thought it was Kim Kashkashian, but they stayed with us even though they found out it was a violist giving a masterclass. And over the next couple of weeks, there were another 37,000 views. So that's quite powerful. A word about IDAGIO. This is a very unique group because it's the only platform where you can actually combine video and audio in one platform, because we have both the audio streaming and the video streaming side. And you don't need to manage it yourself. This is talking about partnerships. We can set it up and set the platform up. We handle the customer relations management aspects of it and the reporting. And we also are industry leaders when it comes to the tech aspects of it. So another aspect is that we have what's called the fair payout model. I won't go into a lot of detail, but organizations usually get about up to 80% of the net proceeds from the broadcasts that we do. In the audio side and the video subscription side, it's calculated not by the track, which is typical, but by the second. So if somebody watches your video for 3 seconds, you have a share in that person's subscription revenue. No exclusivity, and I made a mistake in the PowerPoint because it jumps down to flexibility, so I'll do with that, and also about content control. So you control your content. We don't make the judgments about what you can put up there and what you can't. The same thing about in terms of the pricing. You determine the pricing. We advise you on that. In terms of the in terms of how long the stream is up, in terms of how long the stream is, all that is in your area. As I said, we give you our research from other successful partners to help that. And then the marketing support. This is something which is also very unusual. If you're at YouTube or these other services, there's something that's missing. We are able to, because of our relationship with you as partners, give you the email addresses of the people who watched your videos. And that's something you can't get from YouTube. We're allowed to do that. We have found a way, even conforming to all the privacy laws around the world. So I think it's important that we also have connections through our media, and we have a whole media staff that looks to promote these programs. And then finally, we do have a community. There's 2.3 million downloads over 190 countries. And so this is something where at least you have, there's no guarantee you're going to get every one of those download people to watch your program, but it does widen the pool. So, part 3, this is your turn to be the critic. Sorry, I had to bring the cat back. It was, it was getting lonely and back earlier in the deck. So, just a couple of things before we start watching. Quality equals attention span. So how long somebody spends on there, if it's something that's interesting, if it engages them, if the quality is high, the viewer length tends to be longer. But besides that, think about what was your gut reaction to some of these videos? Did you want to watch it again? What really stood out in your mind? What were you left with? Was it compelling, and why was it compelling? And how would you rate the performance of the main characters? And was the message clear? So I'm putting these out there because very often we watch a video, but we have no criteria to which to judge it. So I'm just trying to give that a little bit. So if my colleagues in the back room are ready, I want to first start off with a performance video. So the performance video, the first, this one it was, and the President sang Amazing Grace. It features the Kronos Quartet. This was made on the west coast of the US, and it was in response to the church shooting in Charleston in June of 2015. We're not going to play the whole thing because we're running short on time, but if that's ready to roll on the Vimeo, let's go for it.
A young man came to a house of prayer. They did not ask what brought him there. He was not friend, he was not kin, but they all opened the doors and they let him in. And for an hour the stranger stayed. He sat with them and he seemed to pray. But then the young man drew a gun and he killed 9 people, old and young. In Charleston, in the month of June, the mourners gathered in a room. The president came to speak some words, and the cameras rolled, and the nation heard. But no words could say what must be said for all the living and the dead. So on that day and in that place, the president sang Amazing Grace.
I think we should move on now.
The president
You get the idea, I think.
sang
Okay. The next video is about promotion, and there's a wonderful story which I'll just relate after the video, but it's the Copenhagen Philharmonic. This video went viral. Since May of 2012, it's garnered over 14 million views. So can we have that YouTube clip? Thank you, thank you. So the story is that a few months after that, Copenhagen Philharmonic is the third orchestra in Copenhagen. And a few months after this went viral, the government cut 100% of their funding, effectively putting them out of business. But when it was made known, there was such a huge outcry from the public that they had to reinstate the funding. So actually, this video actually saved that orchestra. So the last one is it's actually commercial, to be quite honest. It was done by the Spectral Quartet, a quartet in Chicago, and they had just commissioned a number of composers to create a ringtone for your handy. And they wanted to try and promote this. So it's a little bit of humor to sort of end the presentation, but so let's roll the final video.
Does your ringtone sound like the bridge of a starship is about to explode, keeping you from a good night's sleep? Are lame ringtones throwing a wrench in your game? Self-made ringtones resulting in some additional deposits being made at the water bank? Here at Spectral Corp, we're working around the clock with some of the country's most cutting-edge composers to bring you ringtones that don't suck. Just imagine a world in which MIDI harps and cricket ringtones are replaced by tiny, 100% original, new music concerts. Featuring minty fresh miniature pieces by some of your favorite composers, such as Mason Bates, Ted Hearn, Julia Holter, David Lang, Nico Muley, Shulamit Ron, Bernard Rands, Greg Saunier, Augusta Reed Thomas, and everyone's favorite J. Allen Yim. And many more! Just listen.
You get the idea.
It's like having the Spectral Quartet with you all the time. Every call is a new music sensation. And now you can catch all your favorite new music composers. Working together, we can make those sleep-depriving, unhygienic,
we can cut this one as well too. So, however you feel about it, there's one thing for sure. You won't be able to forget some of those images. So, anyhow, I have one more that I'm just going to show you a little bit of, and this is something that I'm really very passionate about, which is all your musicians, is to create a video profile for them. Create a short statement about who they are as artists. Bring them closer to your audience. We have found that that actually helps a lot when it comes to audience retention, and also when it comes to raising funds. So this is, and you have to sort of let the musician get relaxed. It's not really kind of sort of like, they can't use a script. They have to really sort of speak from the heart. This is one of our cellists. Oh, need some sound.
I was just always in love with music. It just felt so natural, and I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't have music. My older sister played cello before I started, and me being the little sister, I wanted to do everything that she did. So I would sit on the stairs of my house when she had her lessons, and I knew that I wanted to do that. Classical music can be beautiful or ugly, or it can kind of tap into people's emotions in a way that other things can't. Last year we played Das Lied von der Erde by Mahler, and it was conducted by MTT. And by the end of the week, it became one of my absolute favorite pieces of music. Working with MTT is so incredibly moving and inspiring. Even in rehearsals, it's like he always has something so profound to say about the music, and he just makes me think about music in a way that I haven't really thought about before. At the end of the concert, I walked off stage and I immediately found a space where I was alone, and I just started sobbing because it was just such a powerful experience for me. I just felt completely overwhelmed with music.
I'll cut it off there. But that was actually, it takes a lot of courage for a musician to be that open on video, knowing that it's going to be thousands of people watching it. So, just some final words from me. It's about being clear on the mission, of course, and the partnerships. Again, learn from others. So, thank you very, very much, and I hand it over to my next presenter.